Up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a highly valuable corporately owned franchise. Superman is back in theaters this summer. We're going to find out if this latest Superman still stands for truth, justice, and the American way, and why, maybe, that still matters. Good afternoon, and thanks for stopping by Across the Fence. I'm Keith Silva. Since his debut in the pages of Action Comics in 1938, Superman has been part of the American vernacular. The character has gone from page to screen and back again, those nearly 90 years. Last week, Supes managed to pull in $122 million at the box office in the guise of David Corenswet, the latest actor to don Superman's iconic costume. This latest iteration is being overseen by a director and also the CEO of DC Studios, James Gunn. Is it any good? Haven't we done this superhero thing enough already? Does Superman still matter? To help me answer these questions, I'm joined by Todd McGowan, the director of UVM's Film and Television Department, fresh off our previous Jaws discussion. Yep. Now we're going to talk about Superman. Okay, Professor, you saw the movie. What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty great, actually. Yeah, I thought there were things that were unusual in it that I didn't expect, and I thought the best part was the way the parents from Krypton were not. So they sent him actually on an evil mission to conquer Earth, and I thought that was pretty great because he ends up being who he is by breaking from what he was meant to be, and I really like that idea.
Oh, I like that concept. Yeah, I should have said ahead of time for those of you out there, spoilers for Superman and all Superman-related stuff. What about the actor? Our generation Superman was Christopher Reeve. This one is David Corenswet. What'd you think?
I thought he was good playing Christopher Reeve, which is a good thing. I thought Christopher Reeve was untoppable in that role, and I thought Corenswet played that part really well. So yeah, I thought all the acting was pretty good. I mean, it's hard though, right? Because Gene Hackman was Lex Luthor, and he was incredible, and Nicholas Hoult was Lex Luthor this time, and he was good. More over the top, less. It wasn't funny. And I think that was I thought that was interesting because Guardians of the Galaxy is a pretty funny film. And I thought the Richard Donner Superman that you and I grew up with, it was funnier, I think, than this one was. A lot funnier.
In some ways, this movie takes itself very seriously. In other ways, doesn't take itself seriously enough. I'm not over the moon about this one as you are. I thought it was a perfectly fine, serviceable summer movie. But I'm not the guest. I'm not the expert here. What is James Gunn trying to do with this Superman? Is he trying to say something about Superman?
Yeah, I think two things. So I think the first thing is that he becomes who he is by breaking from what he was meant to be, as I said before, right? And I think that's a really important idea, an important idea for all of us. Like we're all given, and I think it's really interesting that the parents' message is garbled because I think every message that all of us get from our parents is garbled, and then we interpret it how we're going to interpret it, and that's how we define our own singularity. So I think that I really liked that aspect of it. I probably, if I overestimated the film, and I think you think that I did, I'm not an expert. I mean, you're just as much expert as me. And I think it's because of that, because I really like that idea. Really struck me. And I think the other thing is that there are no pure moral decisions, that every moral decision also has a political bent to it. And this is what Lois Lane confronts him with when she interviews him in the beginning of the film. And that comes to the third thing. I really liked that there's a romance between, it's almost a romantic film, right? That it's much more about their romance than about almost anything else. And I really, can she love, can he love? What does it mean to be punk rock? These kinds of questions, which I appreciated. So I went in with low expectations because I think, like you, I don't have I think the superhero film has done a lot of damage to cinema as such. And so I was a little reluctant to see it. Part of it, you kind of made me see it, but I was glad that you did because I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I think I said, "Are you going to?" And you were like, "Yeah, I think I will." So I was like, "Okay."
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's perfectly okay. Big picture, maybe a little existential. Do we need a Superman? Is there still a use for a Superman, the capital G good guy nowadays?
Yeah, I think I think people use things that are familiar to communicate ideas that they want to communicate, right? And so that's why I think these comic characters keep getting repeated. The question about the pure good guy, it's interesting because Christopher Nolan, reinvented the superhero by complicating the good guy.
Right.
But what Gunn does, and what I like, is that Superman is, and I think this is maybe one of the problems with Nolan's Batman, is that he's so wealthy he doesn't have to worry about ordinary things. And Superman works. He has a job, and
It's true.
I really like that about the figure of Superman, that because I work too, and I have
Right.
to have a job, and I just think it's an important thing about like the figure of the superhero as just a normal working person. I think that's a really important thing.
One of the things that's interesting about Superman as a character and in this movie is that he wants to be human. He loves humans. He thinks humans are important and worth the time, and being more human than human is very important to him.
Yeah.
And that's a big theme in the movie, is being a good person, being a good human being to other human beings.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think a thing that not everyone thinks today.
Sure.
We have people that are on TV saying, I'm not sure if humanity should survive, and they're thought of as really well-regarded people. So I think that's pretty important to say.
Yeah. Superman was co-created by two Jewish immigrants, Joel Shuster and Jerry Siegel. Talk about Siegel and Schuster, so they're creating this in the 30s. We're coming into fascism. These are two Jewish gentlemen who are creating him. Is the outsider immigrant status a big part of this movie?
I think it's the central part of the film.
Okay.
Right. I think that's what made it kind of controversial, although it's incredible that it would be controversial,
Right.
as you were saying, as we were saying.
Yeah.
But I think that's really, one of the ways that it really gets emphasized is that for being an outsider, he's sent to a prison. He's outsourced as a prisoner,
right.
and I think that by this Luthor Corporation. It's interesting that too, Luthor is a corporate criminal, not just a criminal like he was in the old Richard Donner version.
So he's not the mad genius. He's actually a corporate.
He's actually a corporate mad genius. Yeah.
With all sorts of infrastructure and everything behind him.
And U.S. government contracts.
Yep. He's connected. He's connected to everything.
Right.
Do you think of Superman as aspirational? I have very clear memories leaving the first movie in '78, running around with a cape around my shoulders, trying to be Superman. Are kids going to do that with this Superman?
Well, I would just want to say I went the other way.
Okay.
I shaved. I was Lex Luthor. I shaved my head.
Okay.
No, but I think I do. I'm just kidding.
Well played.
I wasn't going bald yet at 9, although close. I think it does have that same kind of thing, and I do think that Christopher Reeve that Superman had that effect on people, and I think this Superman does have that same role. And I think I'm not against that. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a good thing to aspire to want to be a hero.
Sure.
If we're talking about Superman, we're talking about this like, oh, it's a new Superman. They're rebranding. I don't really care about a corporation rebranding. Right. Superman has always been with us since the 30s. This is an icon of America. Is enough? Or are we starting? He comes out at a time where the last 20 years have been heavy on the superhero. Is this just one more straw on the camel's back?
Well, I think we're maybe in the 1950s where the Western was, because the superhero movie is basically a rehashing of the Western film. Right?
Sure.
You have this person who doesn't really fit in the society, who's necessary to save the society because the law itself can't handle whatever the problem is. It's exactly what the superhero does. And then in the 50s, so there were about, 5 Westerns made a week at the height of the production. I mean, really, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And so that really outnumbers the superhero film.
Yeah.
But then by like 1950, 55, whatever Searchers is, I think it's 1955, then it just totally drops off a cliff. And my sense is we're about to hit that period where it just completely drops off.
You teach students. You're a professor at UVM. what kind of influence have superheroes had on this generation? I think it's easy for me to sit back and say, kids these days, be very much an old man about it. They don't appreciate the classics. No one's watching Sorcerer. They're watching Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Do you see that in your classrooms?
No, but I think it's interesting because I try to teach what big classes to what students want.
Okay.
And I've never had a student request, would you teach a superhero class? So it's odd. I mean, they say, will you teach the class on The Wire?
Okay.
In the fall, I'm teaching a class on the musical. That's by request. But never superhero. So I don't think it has, I think their sense is it's not serious filmmaking, which I think maybe is a mistake. I think you should take everything seriously.
Yeah.
But I think that's the student sense.
Speaking of taking it seriously, you wrote about director Christopher Nolan. You talked about him before. Nolan has, I think you said already, made the superhero movie of the 2000s, The Dark Knight. Is this Superman going to best The Dark Knight? Superman versus Batman?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I actually think, you're going to really disagree with this.
Okay.
But I think Dark Knight Rises is a little bit, until the end, is better maybe than Dark Knight.
Okay.
I know you totally disagree.
Oh, no, I have no real opinion one way or the other.
Anyway, I think that Nolan has he's in a certain echelon of his own compared to the others. I'm not sure that I would even say his superhero films are better than, I don't know, Iron Man or some of these other ones.
Sure. I think, you have someone who is an auteurist director,
Yeah.
certainly gets compared to the Kubricks, the Spielbergs, and he decided to tell a superhero story. Stanley Kubrick never got to do his Western. He got to do his horror movie. He got to do other
He did
things.
almost every genre other than Western.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I never did I did a war picture. Or partly a war picture.
Yeah.
Would you go back? Is this something that you're going to, rewatch in years to come and be like, can't wait to sit down with James Gunn's Superman?
Probably not. I have to, this is a terrible confession, but it's because I have twins and that one saw it with me and one couldn't. So I've seen it twice.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
That's probably enough for me. But I could see myself watching it.
Helping out that 122 mil.
Yeah. I was a big contributor to that.
Todd, thank you so much. Always fun to talk to you. Superman is in theaters as we speak. My thanks to the heroes behind the scenes here at WCAX. I'm Keith Silva. This is Across the Fence. Thanks for being part of our family.